Hey everybody, it's Missy again. Thanks for joining me today. I'm back with a new layout for the Hip Kit Club, and I'm using the 2018 April kits for this. And I'm going to start this layout with a cut file. And this is one of the April cut files. It's for subscribers only, and Audrey designed this, and it's called Lace Background. So it's actually a 12 by 12 design that is meant for background. But when I looked at the pieces, I thought, hey, I kind of want to make some flowers out of those, or somewhat of a flower shape. So I kind of deconstructed it and just used this part, and I'm going to create, mix and match some fun little flower shapes here. And so I just cut some 3 by 3 squares from different pattern papers from the main kit, and then I cut the big piece on one piece of paper and the center piece, or the smaller piece, on a different one, and then I mix and match the dots for the middle. And then I decided I wanted a couple of bigger flowers, and so I just did the same thing with the same papers, except this time I just cut the squares into 4 by 4 size and ran it through my Cameo another time to create some bigger flowers. And this is a great way to get lots of different colors and different patterns, and do a lot of mix and matching. And I love all these colors. I think they're so pretty together. Lots of springy, summery, bright colors. And they all look cute together when you mix and match them like that. Mix and match them like this. And I did work in some of the black and white Pink Fresh Studio paper too, and I like the contrast that gives. And so yeah, I'm going to work in black and white pictures later, and so it's all going to kind of come together. But I decided that I didn't want to leave them just as they were. I wanted to add a little bit of depth and a little bit of variation to them, and so I just decided to smudge a little bit of white gesso on top of each paper, just to kind of messy it up a little bit and to mute down some of those bright colors. And it's going to just make them look a little more dimensional and a little more, what's the word I'm looking for? Not so stark. Is that even the right word? I don't know. And I use a lot of pattern papers together on top of each other. I like to kind of fade out certain parts of it. Here I watered down some white acrylic paint to add some white splatters, to add even more texture and interest. And then I'm going to glue them all together. And you're going to kind of see what I'm talking about here. Since I kind of added the white with the gesso, it just sort of adds a little bit of light, and then there's a little bit of dark, and it just makes them look a little more interesting, I think, than just leaving them as is. And you may like to leave things as is, and that is perfectly fine. I just like to get messy. You know me, I'm all about the messes, and I like to make them look a little different. And so that's all I'm doing here with the gesso and the white splatters, and I think they look really neat. So now I just glued the middle or the center down so I can kind of fold up some of the outer edges. I decided to even add more, so I went through the pink parts and used my ink foam blending tool and the pink Distress Oxide. And then I decided to go even further. So I pulled out the 2 Distress Oxides from this month, the Abandoned Coral and the Squeezed Lemonade, and then I added in the Picked Raspberry and the Peacock Feathers, and those 2 are from previous kits. And I just stamped them on some plastic. I'm adding a little bit of water, and then I'm just kind of coloring in on some of the flowers here, just to add some more depth. And I think this makes them look even more dimensional, and it just adds to the color. I wasn't trying to cover up the color of the actual pattern paper. I was just trying to add a little bit of depth. Like on the blue paper, I just add a little bit of the peacock feathers just to make it a little bit darker in areas. And it just sort of adds variation and adds color and just makes it look a little more dimensional. I keep saying that. I've said that several times. Hopefully you understand what I'm saying. And you'll like the way this looks, because I think they turned out really cute. So now I decided I want to do some hand stitching around the middle, and so I use the needle. I don't have a pokey tool, and I don't have a little foam thingy to stick the pen through, so I just kind of hold it and use my needle and stick holes. I just eyeball it. I go around the middle of the flower, and then I'm just using embroidery thread. I've got blue, yellow, and pink, and I'm just going to mix and match and just do a simple back stitch, I think that's what it's called, around each of the circles there. So it's just very simple, but again, it just adds some texture and color and interest. And I didn't do it on the small ones. Now here are my pictures. I'm going to use 3, and I'm going to keep them in this little film strip here. And it's a picture of Paige, my youngest daughter, and her favorite teacher in the whole wide world, Miss Kayla. She loves her. And I mean, when she hugs her, she attacks her. She grabs her face. She like pulls herself into her face and wants to kiss her and just nuzzle and cuddle in her neck like she's a little puppy. And it's so cute. And she's had her for a teacher for several years, and they have a very special bond. And so she is a very special person to us. And so that's what I'm scrapping today. And I added some white gesso to this cardstock. This is the Turquoise Mist cardstock, and we get it in the color, not the color kit, the cardstock kit. So I decided to add some interest to the background here. And so I pulled out those same colors that I used on the Distress Oxide. And then I got the, what's it called? From I believe it was last month. It's the Vicky Bouton Iridescent Glaze. And it's kind of like a light silvery color. And you can totally add color to that. I mixed it in with some of the Distress Oxide and then used my palette knife to smudge it on. And it looks really bright and shiny because it's in the light, but it's really a soft mint color when I added the Distress Oxide. And then I added a little bit of pink, did the same thing. And this darker green color we get in this month's color kit. This is the Dilutions Shimmer Spray in Polished Jade, and it is gorgeous. It looks really bold in the bottle, but you can see here when I splattered it and then I rolled my paper towels over it, it lightened it up a lot. So I feel like if you let it sit for a minute, it's going to be a lot darker. And if you blot it up right away, it's going to soften it up. But here's kind of the idea that I've got going. I want the photo to go right there, sort of in the middle of the page, over to the left a little bit, and then have all those flowers kind of around it. Now, I just decided I'm not done with this background. I'm going to keep adding layers, and you know how I get. I add stuff, and then I think I like it, and then I think something else will look better, so I just add more gesso on top of it. And you can still see some of the shimmer from that iridescent glaze. And my gesso is still wet, and so is the glaze. And so I'm just going to stick my palette knife in that wet shimmer spray and just scrape it on, use my finger to smudge it. And it's just going to give me this really streaky, splotchy color. And it's very light because it's automatically blending in with the gesso. And I love how that looks because it's, you know, the background is this soft mint color, and then this is just a little bit of a darker shade. And it's just going to add some interest. You're going to be able to see it around all those flowers and behind the photo. And I'm going to add some drops again. And if you want a big drop, just get a lot of liquid on your brush and hold it way up high and then just smush it down with your fingers. And you can see how I created those bigger drops by doing that. Here is the stencil from this month's color kit. I decided to add even more interest to the background. So now I'm using those Distress Oxides dry with an ink blending tool and just lightly in a circular motion kind of smudging right over the stencil. And it's totally easy to do this. I'm going to do the Squeeze Lemonade, the peacock feathers, and then I'm going to mix and match the pink and the red there. And love how this looks. Stencils are so much fun. They're addicting. I just wanted to cover the whole background. I just wanted to keep going, but you know how that goes. You have to stop yourself at some point. Now this is really cool. This is what I love about the Distress Oxides. I add a little bit of water and it just totally starts to blend. So if you make a mistake with a stencil, do this. Just add a little bit of water and smudge it around and you totally get rid of the shape. But I love how that looks. It's kind of streaky and you can kind of see the shape, but it kind of blends away. Love that. And I think that's really possible because I added all the gesso and it didn't just soak right into the paper. The gesso is going to allow you to do this stuff right here. It's going to allow you to add more water and do the blending and the smudging and just make it look a little more natural. Whereas if it just soaks right through the paper, it's going to soak in and it's not going to blend and smudge as well. So, and it just depends on what look you like and what look you're going for. There's no right or wrong way to do it. But I always say, when in doubt, use gesso first, because it's going to allow you to change your mind if you make a mistake. And yeah, it's just a lot better, I think. So I'm going to trim up the photo, and I love these pictures. They're so cute. I think the background's done for now. So I'm going to add a little bit of tissue paper and then start to put all the flowers back. And I think this is how it's going to go. I did want to add a little bit of layering behind the picture, or the pictures. And so I'm going to use some of the same paper that I used for the flowers. And just so a little bit of it's peeking. It's going to give me a little bit of separation from the busy background. And I like to rough up the edges a lot, so I'm going to run that through my edge distressor and then start to come in with some thread. And I've got all the matching colors over there to the right. And that's just cheap thread from Walmart. It's nothing expensive. I think it's like $2.20 something a spool. I don't buy it all at one time. I just kind of, every other time I go to Walmart, I may buy one. And if I'm running low, I may buy a color that I need. But yeah, it's nothing special. It's just the standard cheap sewing thread, but it works great for this. And so I added in some pink, some, what did I add up there at the top? I can't even see. Oh, the orangey color, the corally orange color, and then yellow at the bottom. And since I added that stitching, some of the flowers didn't want to actually stick to the background, so I laid a couple of heavy bottles on top of it and left it for a few minutes until it dried. So now I'm going to start to think about embellishing. I'm going to use some puffy stickers from Pink Fresh Studio, and then I decided I wanted to add in this really darker teal color because there are some Pink Fresh Studio stickers like the one I just added at the top that said Beautiful Moment, but that's the only spot that has that dark color, that dark teal. So I'm going to cut this little cut apart piece from a Paige Evans paper and use the strip of it right under the photo. So now I've got that dark teal at the top and the bottom of the photos. And I'm going to use that Pink Fresh Studio sticker that says real, because when I look at these pictures, I see real love from Paige. She loves her teacher so much. It is so real, and it's just the funnest thing to watch when she sees her teacher. And it is real. And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to use that sticker. And it's black and white, and the photos are black and white. I'm going to add in some black and white leaves. These are from Pink Fresh Studio. And so at first I didn't think about that I was going to even add anything with black in the layout. But the more I did, I like it kind of spaced around. And so I like those little pops of black. Pulls out from the black and white photos. I'm going to add a little bit of foam behind my pictures and stick that down. I did layer a puffy sticker on top of the flowers and then one of the die cut flowers over on the left. So I've got a little bit of overlap on top of the pictures. And now I'm going to work on the title. Oh yeah, I did. I just saw myself do that and I forgot to say I added in some of the exclusive black and white puffy heart stickers. So my title is going to be Love Miss Kayla, and I'm going to mix and match. I'm going to use the Love, that's the really skinny metallic gold thickers. I believe those are crepe paper. And then the Miss, M-I-S-S, that I added is from the Chamel Alpha sticker pack. And then what the Kayla part is from those beautiful ombre exclusive puffy alphas that we got. Added some of the gold hearts, and I love how that looks. I think it looks cute. I decided I needed something over on the right, and so I've been doing this a lot lately. It's very easy. Just stick a piece of paper behind your 12 by 12 layout and then cut off the excess, and then just rip or cut or tear a little strip off the side, and then you have this cool other pattern paper showing through, and your layout is still 12 by 12 because I can't ever just eyeball it. So I know if I glue the whole thing behind there first, I know exactly that it's going to be the same size. And I think that looks really pretty. I like the teal popping against the pink. And then I thought, do I want to add something else or not? And this just brings it all together for me. I love when I just try to experiment and think, will this look good? At first I was like, no. And then I put it right there, and I love how that little butterfly looks. And then I add another one, add a little heart, and it's just sort of like a little tiny cluster over on the right. added in some orange thread because I've got pink, yellow, teal, black, and now I've got some of the orange, and I just added a little bit of the thread peeking underneath that tear. And I'm almost getting finished. This video was getting really long, and so I cut out me writing my journaling because that's just me writing my journaling. And I also added in some black splatters and some gold splatters and my journaling. And that's the layout. I did some gold stitching up and down the tear on the right, but other than that, that's the final layout. I love how this turned out. I love how a cut file can inspire a whole different idea, you know? So really look at the cut files and think, how can I make this different, or what can I do with this that's not using it as is? Anyway, let me know if you have any questions about any of the techniques or the kits, anything at all. This was so much fun to make. I really love how it turned out. Hope you guys have a great week, and I will see you soon.